Hey everybody, welcome back. So, for the six of you who've been watching my channel for any period of time, you might remember a couple of years ago I bought this. This is the WPL. I think the model is W34, supposed to be a 1/16 scale older Land Cruiser. I think that model's the F40, but I'm not a Land Cruiser expert, so I could be wrong. And I bought it for two intentions. One was just as a toy, just to tool around in my backyard, just to have a little bit of fun with, drive the dog crazy. Something to do, in my free time, which of course I have almost none of. But I also wanted to make it into a Jeep. And I want it to look like my Jeep, which is a 1980 CJ7. I'll insert a picture here so you can see what it looks like. And I thought to myself when I bought this, and I think I only paid about 50 bucks for it, and it actually works pretty good. It's four-wheel drive, and one of the reasons I picked it is because the wheelbase of this is roughly the same as the wheelbase on a CJ7. So that the body proportion, all the proportions should be correct when I get a CJ body for it. And I didn't think I was going to have problems getting a CJ body. I mean, heck, I printed this long before I even printed that. Now this is a CJ5, more like a 7, and it kind of is and it isn't. The fenders are wrong. It's wrong in a lot of areas, but I thought, well, if that exists, then certainly the CJ7 must exist, right? Well, not right. I know that Tamiya made a CJ7 body long ago. It was 1/10 scale, and 1/10 scale is really bigger than what I want. But I know they made that. And yes, I know Axial makes a CJ7 RC car, but I want to tool around in my backyard. I don't want to spend $500 for a toy to tool around my backyard in. And even the body kit on that pushing $100 and probably over that when you ship it. And I'm not going to buy that. And why should I? I have a 3D printer and some marginal, you know, design skills in CAD software. So I'm not going to do that. So I kind of got frustrated and I shelved the project and I kind of never been back to it. But now I'd kind of like to get back to it. There are some more CJ7 bodies I'm finding. There's one by Sorpix, which is really pretty darn close to a CJ7. There's a few others, and it's not meant to be an RC car body because it's solid like this one down here is, but the outer proportions, the outer look is pretty darn close. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. And there's a Thumper project over on Printables, which is a CJ7, but it's a rock crawler, and but it doesn't look like my CJ7. The fenders are wrong, the back end is wrong, the wheelbase is totally completely wrong. It's not what I want. So I'm going to take a look at, and I'll show them to you. We're going to pop over to my computer here because I do want to show you how I hollowed out Sorpix's model. And that was kind of the point of this video before I started rambling, was to show you how I hollowed out Sorpix's model and where I think I might go from here. I don't know how I'm going to get to where I want to go, but I do want this to be a CJ7 when I'm done. Before I start showing you what I did, let me show you where I went. Now, I have spent hours upon hours upon hours looking for a CJ7 body that I could use or even modify to use, and there aren't many. For those of you who aren't really deeply into Jeeps, a CJ7, while there was a sub model of the CJ7 called the Wrangler, what we call the Wrangler today is not a CJ7. It's not even close to being a CJ7. And a military Jeep is not a CJ7. Plus there's a CJ5 and a CJ8 and other things too. So, but the first thing we see here when we come to Yegi and type in CJ7 is this Thumper Rock Crawler project. And I've got that open here in this tab. And I got to say, this is an amazing thing. For somebody to go through all the work that this guy or this group of people did and to give it away for free is incredible. I do not want to minimize what they have done here, but this is not a stock CJ7. It doesn't look like a stock CJ7, and of course it's not supposed to. It's supposed to look like some, and I don't want to disparage them by using the term, some bubba got a hold of a CJ7 and turned it into a rock crawler. And it does not look like a CJ7. The grill in the front is still correct, but from the sides and the back, it's completely wrong. It's an amazing project. I mean, completely amazing, but it is not what I'm looking for, although I am still tempted to build it just for the sheer fun of it. And there is a doors and a top for it, but even with the doors and the top on it, it still does not look like anything that rolled off the showroom floor or that I own. And there's another hard top for it. And then going back to here, the next thing we come across is this one of Sorpix's, and I have it open. I want to give everybody credit for these. I didn't do these. These are somebody else's designs. So at the best, I'm just modifying it. So where is the Sorpix one here? I have it open. Here it is here. So this is an actual very good representation of a stock CJ7. Now remember, they made CJ7s from the 70s well into the 80s. So there is a bunch of different minor variations, but this is not meant to be an RC car body. This was meant to just be a model that you print and sit on your desk. And it's really pretty nice. The windows are solid all the way around. The bottom is solid. The body itself is a single piece. There's a bunch of other pieces that come with it. There's a frame, axles, there's the fender flares, there's the mirrors, and all the little stuff. Did a really nice job of it. So far, that's the closest thing I've found to work with. Now coming back to Yagi, there are other things here on Yagi as well. There are these. Now this one and this one, these are the same except scale. I have one of those open here too as well. And the problem with these are, while it is a CJ7 length body, and while it's actually pretty darn close to looking like what a CJ7 is, for some reason they decided to put a CJ8 scrambler style roof on it, which completely wrecks the look of it from the side and from the back as well. And for some reason the wheel well openings are not correct in the back. Anyway, that's kind of a mix between a CJ7 and a scrambler, and that's not what I wanted either. And there are other things as well. This is an actual hard top for the axial, which is $500. I've been hoping some Chinese company would copy that axial. I know it's bad for me to say that, but I was hoping somebody would make a $80 copy of that, but so far that has not happened. Another one I found is this one over on Thingiverse by author Domi 1974, called Caros Siri. The grill is correct, the hood is correct, the fenders are correct, the wheel well openings are correct, even the tailgate is correct. The seats are all wrong, but I haven't had the stock low back buckets in mind for 30 plus years because I didn't like them. They sucked. They were terrible to sit on. I don't like low backs. So they got changed out, but boy, it looks really good. I really like it, but one of the challenges in using it is it's 53 different pieces. There is really not one single body part in there assembled to another body part. The hood is one part, which is nice. The grill is good. I mean, even the turn signal rings are separate. So this would be a real jigsaw puzzle to put together. And I'm not 100% sure how well that would work for an RC car. Now, it might be possible I could go into Fusion and, using the joint assembly and joints and all that, put some of these pieces together. But then again, I'm working with STLs, which is, even after you convert them into a solid, can still be challenging to work with. Anyway, that's one I am going to keep in mind. But I think the first one I am going to start working on is that Sorpix model. This is the free version of Fusion 360. And yes, I know that if you can use Blender, you can do this all in Blender. It might even be easier if you already know how to use Blender. I do not know how to use Blender, and I have sat down with it a couple times, and I'm not sure how long the learning curve would be to get to the point where I could do it in Blender, but I know that I don't really have the patience for it, at least not at this point in my life. So this is the Infusion, not Caros Siri, the Sorpix body, and you can see I've already hollowed it out, but I want to show you real quick how I did it. because a lot of you have asked me multiple times how you modify STLs in Fusion. So I'm going to open up a new tab, and the first thing I'm going to do is go to Insert, and I'm going to click on Insert Mesh, and I'm going to get that body out of the Sorpix. And Sorpix, he gives you a lot of parts to go with this, but the body itself is complete. The fender flares aren't on it, mirrors, that kind of stuff, bumpers, but the body itself is complete. And here it is, and I'm just going to say okay to it there. And now I have it in here as a mesh in Fusion. Now you'll note that under body, it shows me it's not oriented and some other issues, doesn't have positive volume. Click on it there and click, you get the little repair window, select body is selected. We can look at detailed analysis, but I don't care about it. I'm just going to say okay and fix it. Now, if you've got a slow computer, this has a whole lot of triangles in it, and it can be slow. My computer is fairly fast, so it does things reasonably quickly. So there it is here. Now, you see the problem with it is it's solid. I can't use it as a solid because I got to have room inside it for, you know, all the RC car parts. And, you know, you guys out there, I'm not an RC car expert. I've never claimed to be. I don't really want to be honest with you. So don't jump on my butt when I, or go ahead. I don't care. I mean, it all helps with the logarithm. Get down there and complain and tell me I'm an idiot. So anyway, I want to hollow this out. First thing I have to do is I have to turn it into a solid body. So we're going to come to the Mesh tab in Fusion, and I'm going to come to Modify, and I'm going to come down to, where is it? Convert Mesh. And I'm going to select my body. There is only one I'm dealing with. Base feature here or parametric. I'm just going to leave it set to base feature. Method, faceted or prismatic. This is the free version. It's warning me down here that there's more than 10,000 triangles and it'll be slow. You'll see how slow it is. I won't cut it. If I try and use method faceted, it will let me. If I try to use method prismatic, it'll tell me I need to go buy the full version of the program, which you all know I'm not going to do. So I'm going to click OK, and it's going to go ahead and do the conversion. And on my computer, that's how long it took right there. So we now have a solid body, even though it still has all these goofy tiny triangles in it. And for right now, that's not going to cause us a problem. So now that I have that conversion done, I'm going to flip over to my my completed one, and I'm going to come these 3 steps into it, and I'll show you how I hollowed it out on the bottom. So we're going to switch back to this one, and I'm going to put my history right here because that's where I was on the other one. And now, as you can see, the bottom is solid. So looking at the bottom, if I can get Fusion to rotate it the way I want it, there we go. A couple cups of coffee too many today, I'm afraid, so far. And first thing I did was I created a sketch, and I created it right on this bottom area here because I need to cut that out. I need to cut all of this out, but I got to kind of be careful how I do it because I don't want to cut away my grill. I don't want to cut away anything I need to keep. So I kind of had to do this in multiple steps. So first thing I did was I created a sketch, and I'll click to show you the sketch. I created a sketch there, and as you can see, I drew a 2-point rectangle. And I did this wrong the first couple times, and even when I printed one, it was wrong, but it was close enough that it didn't matter, and I just came back in here and tweaked this one slightly. And then I did an extrusion of that, and this got me that extrusion. And I think the extrusion, I had to be careful how far down I went because there were things I did not want to cut out with this large block. And how far down did I go down? Let's take a look. How far down did I go down? Is that a thing? I went down 11 millimeters. Now this is 1/24th scale. So I know this is too small for my 1/16th scale RC car, but I've also been told that that car I have is not a true 1/16th scale. So there's a little confusion there. So I want to print one at the 1/24th and kind of measure it. So that's what I did. Let me hide that sketch for now. Hello, hide. Oh, I've got to cancel that. And now let's hide that sketch. And now this is what I got. Now I want those wheel wells to go away too. So I created yet another sketch. And some will argue I could go back in and use the other one, but I didn't want to. I like to do these things sometimes, break them down into multiple steps. That way, if I have a mistake, it's more apparent to me where I made it, and it's not so confusing to fix it. Now, you might be completely different than me. So if I take a look at this sketch, first thing I made is I made these two triangles here, and I'm going to work on these one at a time. I'm going to extrude these one at a time because they need to be different depths. So first thing I did was, after making this and getting this rectangle where I wanted it, I made an extrusion. I cut this away, and then I mirrored it to the other side because I found a mirror would work in this situation, and I wouldn't have to draw the triangle because it was pretty fiddly on me. I wouldn't have to do it twice. Then I made an extrusion of this one here, and I cut that away, and then I mirrored that to the other side, and now I've got my hollow body. And that is as far as I had to go with this to get my body hollow, so I can kind of see if it's going to be suitable for what I want. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to have to take a hard look at all the pieces in Caros series, the one called Caros Siri. I'm going to have to take a hard look at all those separate pieces and see if it would be smarter to print that than it would be to print this. And I'm going to have to come back and knock the windows out of it, at least the two side front windows and the windshield. You know, I don't really think I would need to cut the hood off and the doors out. I don't really need the doors and the hood to open. That is not an imperative for me. I don't need the back to open. I really don't know that I think, sorry about that. I really don't think that I need those things. But I want to print this one out and get a look at the scale of it. And then I want to go bring in the Caros Siri things, and I want to see if I can use Fusion to assemble them. And if I do that, that'll be a different video. But let's take a look at the one I printed, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here is the final printed piece. And you can see it really hollowed out well. I'm very happy with that part of it. And one thing you'll notice here is, you can see it, I lost some of this little inset area here where you glue on the fender flares, and you'll see it's complete on this side. I'm not really worried about that. I've already gone back into the model and repaired that. If I hadn't of, this probably would have been more than enough right in here. It would have been more than enough to give me an area to glue the fender flares to, but this is just one I printed to give me some idea of the scale. And I printed it in that orientation, and you can see the amount of infill there was. I'm not happy with all that infill, but I really wanted it printed in this orientation, because sometimes when I've printed things like this, I've had bed adhesion issues than I would on this, because it's got such a thin, I have to put probably have to put at least a 5 or 6 layer high raft on there to hold it like that in place until some of the support got up to it and held it. Plus, I have gotten some kind of warpage issues and other issues when I've printed things like that. Now, I printed this on the FlashForge A5M just because I wanted the speed. But when I get the full size, I'm probably not going to be able to print it like that. And because I printed it like that, that's why I got all that infill. I'm not going to be able to print it like that because it will be too big for the bed. I will have to tip it up to some degree, or I'll have to print it on the Alpha YZ20, which is a CR10 clone, and just wait for it to go. I'm probably going to, as I said, I'm probably going to punch the windows through, at least the windshield and the 2 front windows. But gosh, that's really pretty close to what my CJ looks like. Say the door handles are wrong. It'd be lovely to have the doors open, but not. I could cut the doors out of the model. It would be finicky, but I could do it. I might. I don't know, because it would be nice to have the doors and the hood open. and I have the doors in the hood from the Caros Siri model, and they might work on it as well with the hinges. But anyway, I just wanted to show you how I cut this open. I know this is a rambling video. I think I apologized for it in one of my earlier clips because I know where I want to go. I'm just totally unsure how I'm going to get there. If you guys have any suggestions for me, please put them in the comments. I would love to hear them because this is something I would really like to do. And like I say, I know where I want to go. I'm just unsure how to get there. Anyway, thanks for putting up with me. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye for now.